In the world of 19th century England, where societal rules and rigid class structures control nearly every interaction, Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice doesn't just tell a love story, it pulls back the curtain on the culture of the time. Published in 1813, Pride and Prejudice is one of the earliest novels to use romance not merely as a form of entertainment, but as a platform to critique society. Over 2 centuries later, its wit, insight, and deeply relatable characters continue to captivate readers worldwide. What makes it so enduring? Austen's ability to blend humour with cutting social observations gives us a unique window into the period, and her timeless characters reveal universal truths about human nature that are as relevant now as they were then. And now let's dive deeper into the world Austen created, exploring the story of Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy, 2 individuals whose pride and prejudice serve as obstacles to their happiness. But as we unravel their journey, we'll see that Austen's story is not just about love. It's a critical examination of class, individual growth, and the roles imposed on men and women in society. And yet, through all its critiques, it is also a story of hope, transformation, and the possibility of finding connection beyond social boundaries. The novel unfolds in the English countryside and centres around the Bennet family, who live in the fictional village of Longbourn. The Bennet family has 5 daughters, all of marriageable age, but with no dowries or inheritance, which makes their mother, Mrs. Bennet, particularly anxious about finding them wealthy husbands. Mr. Bennet, the father, is witty and intelligent, but often prefers to observe family life from the sidelines, leaving the responsibility of marriage arrangements largely to Mrs. Bennet. Our protagonist, Elizabeth Bennet, stands out among her sisters for her intelligence, wit, and independence. She is a keen observer of people and possesses a strong sense of self-worth, refusing to settle for a marriage of convenience, even if that's the expectation. Early in the story, the wealthy and enigmatic Mr. Fitzwilliam Darcy arrives in the nearby town, stirring excitement and eventually contention. Elizabeth quickly forms a negative impression of him, perceiving him as arrogant and unapproachable, while he silently finds himself drawn to her lively spirit. The beauty of Pride and Prejudice lies in how these 2 characters, who initially seem incompatible, gradually begin to understand each other and themselves better. Elizabeth's prejudice against Darcy, coupled with Darcy's pride, keeps them apart. But as they each undergo transformations in self-perception, they come to see each other in a new light. Their journey is a blend of humour, drama, and deep personal growth, skillfully woven into the intricate social fabric of Austen's time. One of Austen's sharpest critiques is reserved for the strict class system of her day. In Pride and Prejudice, wealth and class determine everything, from marriage prospects to respectability. Darcy, wealthy and noble, initially hesitates at the idea of forming a serious attachment with Elizabeth, who comes from a family with little wealth or social standing. This reluctance reflects the significant social pressure to marry within one's class, a norm that was rarely questioned at the time. But as the story progresses, Darcy begins to see Elizabeth for her intelligence, character, and strength, rather than her social status. By eventually pursuing a relationship with her, Darcy defies the conventions of his class, illustrating Austen's subtle but powerful challenge to these rigid structures. The message is clear. Character and integrity should matter more than wealth or rank, an idea that was forward-thinking in Austen's time and remains relevant today. A marriage is a central theme in Pride and Prejudice, and Austen examines it from multiple angles, exposing both its romantic and economic dimensions. In an era when women had limited options for independence, marriage was often the only way to achieve financial security. Austen demonstrates this reality through characters like Charlotte Lucas, Elizabeth's practical friend who chooses to marry the insufferable Mr. Collins solely for stability. In contrast, Elizabeth represents a more progressive view of marriage. She values affection and respect over financial gain or social security. Her rejection of Mr. Collins, and later of Mr. Darcy's first proposal, underscores her commitment to personal happiness. By allowing Elizabeth to choose love over material security, Austen crafts a heroine who prioritizes self-respect and emotional fulfillment, a concept that was both daring and inspiring for women in the early 19th century. The novel's title points to the very traits that define Elizabeth and Darcy's relationship. Mr. Darcy's pride leads him to act reserved and at times condescending, while Elizabeth's prejudice causes her to misinterpret Darcy's intentions. Initially, Elizabeth sees Darcy's behaviour as evidence of arrogance, while Darcy struggles to overlook Elizabeth's lower social standing. Through a series of misunderstandings, confrontations and revelations, both characters undergo transformations. Darcy learns humility and generosity, especially when he helps Elizabeth's family during their crisis involving her younger sister, Lydia. Elizabeth, in turn, acknowledges her misjudgments and learns to see Darcy for who he truly is. By confronting their flaws, both characters exemplify personal growth, a lesson that Austen weaves seamlessly into the narrative. Elizabeth Bennet is celebrated for her wit, her intelligence, and her refusal to conform to societal expectations. Unlike many heroines of her time, Elizabeth openly defies what is expected of her. Her independence, both in thought and in action, makes her one of literature's most beloved characters. Darcy's growth also highlights the theme of individuality. Through his evolving relationship with Elizabeth, he learns to value her unique perspective and wit, rather than seeing her through the lens of social expectation. In creating these characters, Austen emphasizes the importance of self-reflection, honesty, and moral integrity. Elizabeth and Darcy are flawed but fundamentally good, which allows them to grow and transform as individuals. Their story suggests that true connection is only possible when one is willing to confront one's biases and embrace the strengths in others. One of Austen's signature tools is her use of satire, which she uses to expose the absurdity of certain social norms and behaviours. Through characters like Mr. Collins and Lady Catherine de Bourgh, Austen pokes fun at the sycophantic and self-important behaviours encouraged by the class hierarchy. Mr. Collins's grovelling admiration of Lady Catherine reveals the extent to which people will bend to the demands of those with higher status, often at the expense of their own dignity. Mrs. Bennet's fixation on marrying off her daughters also becomes a humorous yet pointed critique of society's pressures on women to secure their futures through marriage. Austen's use of irony and humour doesn't merely entertain. It invites readers to question the validity and sustainability of social customs that prioritise wealth and status over integrity and individuality. 2 centuries after its publication, Pride and Prejudice remains one of the most beloved and frequently adapted novels in Western literature. Why? Because Austen's portrayal of Elizabeth and Darcy's journey from misunderstanding to love speaks to the universal themes of self-discovery, the dangers of first impressions, and the value of personal integrity. Austen's deft use of humour, irony, and social critique provides a layered narrative that appeals to readers of all backgrounds. In our world today, where social expectations and personal prejudices still influence relationships, Austen's insights into human behaviour remain surprisingly relevant. Her characters remind us of the importance of looking beyond surface-level judgments to understand and appreciate people for who they truly are. This is Austen's enduring message, that growth, empathy, and genuine connection are possible when we let go of pride and prejudice. Pride and Prejudice offers us a story that is as enlightening as it is entertaining, challenging us to consider how our perceptions and assumptions shape our interactions. Elizabeth and Darcy's love story is a reminder that transformation often begins with a willingness to examine oneself honestly and to see beyond social expectations. Through their journey, Austen invites us to reflect on our own prejudices and to seek a deeper understanding of others. And so, as we close this exploration of Pride and Prejudice, remember that Austen's work is more than just a novel. It's a mirror held up to society, one that reflects the complexities of human nature and the timeless value of self-awareness, empathy, and personal growth.